Hello and welcome into Sorare with Laird, episode 9. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdino on Sorare. Joined today by Gator Guy 231, who was like nonstop laughing during the intro. I'm so curious what was so funny.
I actually just remembered that you can see us, but we can't see you during the intro. You know that, right? We can't see you, but
Yes.
you let us know that you can see us. So hold on, failure dad 231 today. I just got a text during the intro music. So, did you remember to pack Carter, who's my 3-year-old's lunch? Instant, son of a bitch. It's the first big day back from spring break. They're in the fridge. I packed them last night. And then I was like, I have 2 kids. and the inevitable question from the wife coming. And Landon's, no.
I mean, technically you packed them, you just didn't pack them.
I did. Yeah. I even had the night before. I was trying to be responsible, and absolute failure this morning. Oh.
Well, let's talk some survival.
They're learning to survive. It's never too young to learn survival instincts, right?
I'm sure they'll take care of them. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Rude, who said there's no saving classic, but I'll listen to this anyway later. Hashtags for our homies.
Maybe not.
Stefan and Gully on the podium. Congratulations to you three. Keith, I feel like you're going in and out a little bit, but I don't know if it's just me seeing that or whatever. But anyway, Toby, what's up? Anyan, interested in your takes on this because when printing continues on a level like this season, oh boy, in 2 years, Classic is unplayable. You know, it's funny. They could print even more than they're printing right now. Anyway, Agent Cooper said, I've mentioned this idea before, but dividing all Classic cards up into their own seasons. So, for example, one Classic comp from the cards from the 2023-24, another from 22-23, and so on. I have heard that. But I get there's no incentive for Sorare to do that. And multiple Classic competitions would mean even worse rewards, probably. I think Classic utility might be removed completely in the future. Philly Dilly, if you want to play Classic, you have to move to Super Rare. One of us did that, actually. Sora Soul, konnichiwa to you. Mikey Bastin, what's up? Nepenthes, first in, way to be. Dobsy, hello. The only competition I care about is the Redemption Cup. Hashtag play MFL. Quinny, what's up? Thanks for coming in. Sporting Classics. Toby Alexander, the podium streak comes to an end. Wow, fun while it lasted. Alex said, I'll be honest, I'm only here to talk ice cream and the price of eggs. Alex, yeah, that's been a popular one in the Patreon Discord that we have set up. Tom Jeffries, always bittersweet to catch these live. Love the fact I get it now, but now I don't have it for when I'm doing housework tomorrow. Well, there will be another show tomorrow.
Well said.
There's always more.
And you have 2 today.
Right, 2 today. 2 today. Yeah, Keith is definitely choppy. I don't know what to. I say that as if I can do anything about it. Raska Masaki, almost at a point where I don't care for Classic anymore. Don't care to spend even more money on in-season just for them to become Classic in a year. George said XP is everything in Classic. Don Q, what's up? So Rare Scosmo. You know what's funny is that I was going to give like Keith the table, and it feels like he's just like completely frozen at this point. Ooh, he's going to try something else here. This is going to scare me a little bit. There we go. Crystal clear.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay. I did a speed test. I said it was fine, but then I just switched internets off of the Google router.
Look at you.
Give it a go.
A whale with your multiple internet stream capabilities.
Yeah. Should do it professionally.
Ha. So Sorry, Josh said, I think D1 Classic is pretty good still with the cash podiums, but everything else is just treated like glorified training lineups. I'm not sure those are going to stick around. Do you feel that? Do you feel that way or no?
Which part? Sorry.
About Classic competitions keeping cash podiums.
No way. No chance.
Like they got rid of them for MLS and everyone, and I was like, oh, they're getting rid of them for the European leagues, and everyone's like, they didn't announce that, and I'm like, yeah, they haven't, but
no, it's just a phase out. It's kind of what you said with baseball. Like what's happening in ML, like baseball and like MLS are like their test runs.
Yeah.
And guess what? Guess what happened with MLS? Prices are still pretty darn good and probably higher than they should be. So we did not teach them a lesson.
So Keith, you came into the MLS season all fired up for all the new cards that you got. You had a grand old time getting all these cards, spending lots of money, and then the season started, and you're like, man, this is really boring. And something happened this game week that you were like, wait a minute, I think I found what the most fun part of Sorare is, and they should do it so much more often. Hit us with it.
Yeah. Hold on. I want to hit myself real quick with just the total amount spent in the off season. $9,558. Good stuff. But granted, a lot of those are classic supers, and we could use 2 of them. Goalposts kind of change. Stuff happens. But no, I messaged you as doing lineups on Friday morning. Cap modes are still really fun to build. And specifically, cap modes are fun to build because they take complexity. And you start having to consider cards that you would not have considered previously. I mean, you were squeezing Messi's at like 80 L15s into cap 270.
Hell yeah.
So how did you find it?
I just happened to have a couple low L15 guys from like Brazil who hadn't played in months that it just happened to work out. I wasn't going like out of my way to get Messi in there.
Hold on. We're going to like work backward into this, how this could potentially save classic, but and this is where I think it comes into play. Would you have ever considered playing those cards in a normal classic lineup?
The ones that I did play?
Yes.
Sure.
Like who was it? Give me names. Even
it was Messi.
Them. No. The 0 or low Brazilian defenders or whatever.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the lineup that I put Messi in now. Let me see if I can. Here we go. This was so close to being such a banger lineup. So Camilo Vargas was away to Mazatlan, and he had an L15 of like 12.
That checks out. And I mean, hey, he did great. He exceeded it by 9.
well, I don't think I think he wasn't quite 12. It was low. I guess we could go into the lineup builder. That'll. I think I built it in the lineup builder. I assume I did. But so yeah, it was like Messi and Zinc. Whoops, that's the wrong way. Let's see. Here it is. So yeah, Di Lorenzo was a 43. Vargas 36, Rakitic 53.
A little higher than 12. 50. A little higher than 12.
It was higher than 12. Yeah, and he didn't even beat 36. And then Messi at 85. Yeah.
That's actually pretty crazy.
Yeah. And had he not conceded 3 goals, like I'm 0.15 points away from a reward.
Right. And tier 5 that eventually you can use in cap modes that maybe that could save classic.
So this was not like this idea is not new. Like I've heard other people say that they need to do this for classic, like to make classic, to make it more competitive in terms of the ability for Sorare, like more Sorare managers to compete, that they should move everything to cap modes. And everything, my response has always been like, that's ridiculous. People don't really want that. What they want is to be able to play whatever cards they have and to buy the best cards and play them all. And there is a long-standing tradition basically in Sorare where you can play the card, like the best cards if you want to play the best cards. And based on how Sorare has changed over the last year, I think the whole like they would never do that is gone. And I have no knowledge that they're even thinking about doing this, doing like cap mode more often. But it feels like a lot of what they're doing lately is to kind of force parity amongst the user group, that they want more people, more people to win and more people to be able to compete. And the easiest way to do that is with cap competitions.
Right. I mean, that was like the whole crux of the issue, right? Where during threshold times was it made your guy that was doing 40 air quotes more valuable, but that was skewed because of threshold, because that was a way for us users to gamify Sorare in a way to go ahead and take these crappy players that weren't that expensive and now yield off of them, but not out of like a collective pool, straight from Sorare's pocket that wasn't capped either, right? So like 1 million people could hit threshold, and Sorare couldn't do anything about it. Like, you know, and if you, let's just say, he didn't play this weekend, just came on a Goose Small, right? He was at like a 43 or 44. There was risk he wouldn't play, but they had a great matchup. Well, if there's like 700 of those in circulation and everybody plays him, he's just locked in, going to take set pieces or whatever, Fire Nords and minus 1,000 favorite. Well, in the threshold days, that could be a huge issue for Sorare, especially if he wasn't that expensive, right?
Yeah.
Or they're just classic cards are just trading up the secondary market. They're making 5% on that. That's not going to make them back the amount that they're going to pay out in threshold. Well, now that threshold's gone, it doesn't matter as much. That there's these cheat code cards. So what I think it does, and potentially has the ability to help Classic, save Classic, who knows? Who knows? Time will tell, right? But like the way I'm like just like thinking out loud and knowing like I came up with the topic and was thinking about this morning when I wasn't packing my kids' lunch in their lunch boxes, of course.
Of course.
But when I got them to school without lunches, the hardest part of where Classic stands right now, without any sort of gameplay change, is we'll just use Joshua Kimmich because he seems like he might be one of the best players on the platform right now. There is no limit to the amount of Kimmiches that people can play. And as we get to 700, 800, 900,000 Kimmiches, you can rest assured that probably 90% of those that are in active users' accounts are going to play them. And they're going to play them very likely in very similar competitions, right? Champ, Classic, Champ or Bundesliga Classics, right? And then if there's maybe like a special or whatever, it's going to go in like 1 to 3 places. Well, if all of a sudden every Classic mode has a cap element, the disparity of where these Kimmiches are going to end up multiplies like crazy. And also, there's a very good chance that in the Classic mode that's currently set up, Kimmich is going to be with a Kane, or going to be with an Elise. It's going to be with, just name a stud, right? And now you go, well, now you see Kimmich with Camilo Vargas. And now that changes the reality. And maybe Camilo Vargas is a bad example because that's an all-star competition. But let's just think of it in Champ. And, you know, you have Hellas Verona's goalkeeper for Champ. And he's who fits because Neuer doesn't. Like, I think that's a completely different element where all of a sudden we are bringing some skill back. We are making people have depth in their gallery too, because that's the reality of cap modes and why like a lot of times back in the day, like Wales really did well in cap because they just had depth and they had these guys coming off of zeros. They had the Neymar. Remember what was that one week? Neymar's first game. It was like a AFC Champions League or something.
Yeah, he was an L15 and he dropped 100 and he scored 100.
And he scored 100. And it was like a predictable 100. And there wasn't risk that he wasn't starting either.
Right.
So I think that's where this gets, to me, this seems like a logical potential step that they could do to just make Classic more fun. Because I do feel like, can't remember who was it earlier, I don't have that much fun setting Classic lineups. It does feel like an afterthought. It does almost feel like training used to. But if all of a sudden we bring a little bit more of a game element in it, like I truly enjoyed the Cap 270s. I locked in Hector Herrera everywhere, and he got injured in warmups, so that was fun. But
I think what you were saying about how it ended up being like a redistribution of the Kimmiches, I don't think that's where I'm focusing. It was more the second part of what you said, that now you don't have the Kimmich, Kane, Olise.
Right, the same Bayern stack over and over again.
Yeah. And the it's not that we like I feel like this does go against their whole like stars will be stars because you can't buy all of those stars. The thing is that like most teams don't have 5 stars. Like if you're going to do the Bayern stack, like you can get away with like not having Neuer and maybe not one of the defend, or you know, I don't think it necessarily stops the flow.
Can we just
of
be
cards.
real? Can we be real with something? Stars Will Be Stars applies to in season. Their marketing applies to in season. Everything that they're doing, and it is completely okay, in my opinion, even as a user, for all of their energies from like a marketing standpoint and like a new user acquisition to be around in season. But meanwhile, you either got to become a game that still has this classic element and allows us to keep using our cards forever, or you have to go, you know what? We loved that idea before. We need to figure out some element to do that. You talked about burning, the whole casing cards, all that stuff. Maybe that's an element, but I do think that for football specifically, they have to keep giving us classic utility. Like they don't have to, but I think it would be a huge detriment to them to all of a sudden just get rid of it completely. So it has to become, yet again, we're at a point that we need some innovation. And I don't think the innovation is cash. Like all these people talking about cash injection, love you all. Thank you for your hard work, but no way in hell. They're not happening. It's not like It's going away. Like cash is going away. But, can we maybe have a way that we all can enjoy it, that we can get utility out of these cards still, all of that? Because I do think, again, that was fun. Building for cat modes is enjoyable. You know what's not enjoyable, though? And I'm not here saying for? Cat 220.
Yeah.
I used to love Cat 220, too.
Yeah, you did.
When my gallery was really shitty, it was awesome competition.
So there were a couple comments here I want to bring up.
Yeah, please.
Philly Dilly said they specifically moved away from cat modes being the dominant way to play, which is funny because I don't think they ever actually wanted that to be the dominant way to play. We just happened to do it because the money was there.
Well, but that was the threshold.
Right.
But again, we kind of talked about that. Like, why did they move away? Because cat modes were a route to taking money directly out of their pockets.
Yeah.
And now if we all of a sudden are doing cat modes that don't involve cash.
Yeah. Charlie said, is this not just an excuse for people who don't have good enough cards to compete, that want to compete?
Exactly. So, I think it's the exact opposite, but I get what he's saying.
But even if it is, I still think that's what Sorare wants. They want people to be able to compete on a more level. And it's not necessarily a level playing field, but I think they want they want the skill to budget ratio to be closer to skill than budget.
Yeah, and wouldn't you, this at least is in my head, I want your opinion. I feel like cat modes, everybody feels when they get done with it, or a lot of times, you kind of feel like, ooh, I got one pulled over. You just think you have like one guy that you really like to be on like a 36 or something like that. You're like, ooh, this lineup's a little bit spicy.
It's a little spicy, yeah. What do you think about this idea from Toby that said the number should change every game week? 230 this game week, 260 next, 210, 280. Every game week, just change it.
So
I had an immediate response.
I mean, I have an immediate visceral reaction to that.
Hard no.
Is that yours? That's a hard. But I don't think it should be a two. Like in my head, it was like 250, 275, or 300, or something like that. Or they can do the numbers better than I can. But I don't think that the goal should be to not play your Kimmiches, to not play your Canes. I think it's you need to decide the route of how you want to do it. Yeah. And if there is one that is more of like a superstar competition, like a Cap 300, then you can do that. Or if you want to be a little bit more tactical and be in like the 250 range and go, okay, I really want to play this Kimmich specifically because I got a 0 Neymar.
Yeah. Agent Cooper said, cat modes are the only times I'm engaging my brain with my whole gallery, which I think is kind of what you were trying to say about yourself, that for your MLS stuff, it's like, hey, you just plug them in and we keep moving. And this is an idea that a couple of people have brought up, and I actually am very much against this. He said, I would love to see Division 1 be uncapped, Division 2 to be capped 300, and Division 3 to be capped 250.
So I thought about this in the car line. I literally thought about this, and I was like trying to like think of the tactics of that. And I'm exactly with you. You cannot do that because you then told the person that one 250 or one promotion in 250 that your gallery is no longer good enough, step it up and go buy more classic cards. And I don't think that's like what you want from the user based on classic perspective.
And it's weird because what I think people hear from that is, wait, Sorare don't want you to buy more cards? And it's like, no. Sorare don't need you to buy more classic cards.
Right. They don't care. But again, if they can find a way to make it more engaging, I think that's what, at least me, right? That's kind of what I'm wanting. It's just a little bit more engagement from the classic side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's fine that the rewards aren't going to be as good and all that. Like, come to grips with that. Like, it's okay. But, at the same time, when you build like a fun lineup, or you have these cards that you're staying on top of because you're just like, hey, you're like me and Quinny and these, I guess, more OG types. I can't sell the Tadic card. I know it's worth more than me than like $6 or whatever it's worth. Like, it's just going to the grave. But to be able to put him somewhere where when he gets benched, it doesn't kill me as much, or like, hey, a bench spot, he can get out of it. I don't know. I would like still to have like some fun with the classic lineups versus just going like putting them in and going, this has no chance, because like I'm putting in challenger classic lineups. I mostly sold out challenger, but I still got like some USG boys and people like that. This has no shot.
Yeah.
Like, but if it was in a cap mode setting, it couldn't.
So Charlie said rewards stay the same, entrants stay the same. There will be a perception that it's easier to win when there isn't. What's the point? So I don't think that there's any perception that it's easier to win. It's just that you are, it sounds really weird, you're just using your brain a little more, and like you're engaging with the game more, and that's the point.
Versus just going pick score, or sort by L15, bam, 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 bam. You just don't have the ability to do that. And let's be. I think it has like a nice like bridge in here that it benefits whales, but not as much as it currently does.
Yeah.
Like Nanzo just commented, Nanzo's classic cards are ridiculous. Like, it's skewed, but I love for him to comment. I could have pictured Nanzo as a game every time I've ever heard him. He seems like a very strategic guy. I could also see him going, not only am I one of the top 5 best chances in the classic sense to do very well, you put me in the cap mode, I'm still just as likely to win, because now I'm just gonna match up you, or I know my gallery. Like, I don't think anybody that is actually benefited from classic just being a superstar type of thing is also going, I can't do this cap mode thing.
Yeah, I think to also be clear here, and maybe I'm reading this wrong from you, but the cap mode is really only for classic.
Yeah, I don't think that it makes any sense for them to do in a new season, because then we get away from stars will be stars.
So, and Pico Player said if Kimmich is forced to be put into cap 270 every game week, his price is lower than Vargas. I don't think they care what the secondary market classic price is.
And I don't know if that will happen, because if you still do have the ability for Kimmich to be your one classic in season, like, understand, like, Kimmich's value, or like the superstars value, is not because they're classic utility.
Isn't the point of classic is that it's not meant to be fun and more of an afterthought? I don't think. If they want
to kill it,
I don't think the point is, like, there's no point of any part of the Sorare game where they're like, let's make this part not fun. Like,
right. Let me make you hate 90% of your gallery right now. Yes.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Or cause a sell-off, right? I'm assuming they don't really exactly want to cause an end of the season sell-off.
Right. Toby said gamify classic as much as possible to make the users forget the rewards are shit. I mean, the rewards are not drastically different than they've been for years, minus the cash, and obviously, but like most people weren't winning the cash in comps anyway.
I think, though, correct me if I'm wrong on this, I think potentially what makes classic even more afterthought. Okay.
I'm guessing it's because they take more time.
They take more time.
And Nanzo has so many lineups that it's just not.
I can see that. Sell your limiteds for 2 cents. But no. Shoot, what was my thinking gonna be? Let me look back. I lost my thought. I was surprised. I was surprised by that.
Going back to the same flawed gameplay as a year ago isn't innovation. I don't think it was cap modes were flawed gameplay. It was the fact that they were giving out cash for unlimited usage of classic cards that was the flaw.
Right.
That's all.
I can't remember what my thought was. Sorry.
Behab said cap modes only exist because they didn't get divisions quite right. Capped equals disparity of player cards. Divisions equals disparity of gallery size quality. Is it just that much of a hot take that like trying to fit players into a cap is more entertaining than just slapping 5 cards together?
I guess that's the angle I'm coming at from it. And I think it promotes, you still have some random utility from some of your guys.
Right. Like classic has become so hard now that if you don't have the best cards, you don't feel like you can compete at all. And the point is you want people to be able to think they can compete.
That's where I was going to go with it. Like, that's the reality of, like, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but like why I think classics last so much this luster is what this inevitability was when you have 100 mints and like a rare and type of thing is that you are getting more and more cards. You're getting more and more commissions, or you're getting more and more of the top cards all together. Like the amount of kings is increasing, the amount of commissions is increasing, the amount of just name your stud is increasing. And so more and more of the lineups on top, you remember it used to be back in ban IX days, it would be like 8 lineups at the top were IX. Yeah. And now if Bayern go, I don't know why I keep using Bayern. PSG is probably more dominant than Bayern these days, but you would now you'll see 80, right? And they were all like, and the divisions were supposed to help with that too. But again, you can only spread them out so much.
So divisions have helped that, and they just increase the number of people complaining about the rewards in the lower divisions.
Right.
The number of D2 high finish complaints I've seen today from this current game week is like more than I've seen in a while. I can't believe I finished 35th and limited for $5. And it's like, well, get to Division 1.
Yeah. Well, and it brings up the complaint I hate Morris. I scored 570 for this. And it's like, well, if everybody scores 100, I don't know what to tell you.
Misagi said, I feel like there are basically no decisions to make when making lineups now. Everyone goes in their specific league spots. Stay far away from All-Star.
Yep. And that's kind of, I guess, where that thought when I messaged you was, again, all of this just came from me doing Cap 270 and just messaging and like, building those cap modes were kind of fun.
Yeah. From somebody who had recently talked about not having fun. Not that you like hated the platform, but you were like,
I think it's fine. I think it's fine to actually say that. Like, I spent all this time getting ready for MLS, spent, $10,000 getting ready for MLS. And after a couple of weeks, just kind of was like, the more fun part of this was card acquisition. Yeah. Like, because it was just getting boring. And if you didn't have I think more than anything, specifically in Classic, and, I'm having pretty good luck in season, both in super rare and rare. And what you realize when the mints are so much lower is you have the ability to miss. Yeah. Or you have the ability to go into a week thinking your lineup isn't all that great because the matchups don't look that good. And the guys do well. They don't bang out 100s. And before you know, you're like, oh, man, I'm actually still sweating this a little bit. Like, I still got something to go on for Sunday. It used to be like I just had the super rare sweat that ended horribly. But I got I got the 100 from my captain, who was also maxed on XP, which was huge. But then I had Zinc got negative AA. He scored. That's it. I had the defender and goalkeeper each got like 70. And I was literally, I think it was kind of before the game, I probably would have said I was favored to win.
For sure.
And that's nice. But you would get one dud in the Classic.
Yeah, you're dead.
You're like, am I going to get an essence? Not plural. Do I get one?
I like this And I kind of agree with this, and it feels just like what Misaki was saying. Sora Josh said, not sure if cap mode is the answer, but that aspect did bring a skill gap, which is missing at the moment. The game feels very plug and play right now, which is, yeah, that's how. And Joe was
Everywhere
saying
this is going, yep.
cap divisions basically could end stacks because getting 5 players under cap 250 from Bayern, you might not be able to do it. But Nanzo's a hard no on that. So the idea that cap modes require more skill and is more engaging is illusionary. That whole notion is just a subjective opinion.
But he has one more too. But wouldn't you argue, even if it is illusionary, giving anybody any illusions right now in Classic is probably not the worst thing? Like, I do think that every single thing I ever see from Classic is negative. So even with the illusion,
I would argue that illusionary reasons are better than real reasons.
Right. Or no reasons at all.
Right. Reseal said the business model is a failure. Everything's going to zero. Sorare is not savable. Time to salvage anything you can.
Bye.
Why are you here? Anyway.
Thanks for the comment. Don't let the door hit you on the way.
Mike said Classics now where they have the freedom to be creative, which I kind of, yeah.
I mean, yes, but
at some point, don't they have to want Classic to have value? Eventually, people are going to be sick of them returning 20% of in-season buy-in with no Classic value. I don't know if they care. Unless you can give me an argument that shows Sorare have a monetary benefit of Classic cards moving hands. I'm just not sure why they need to focus on it.
There's just not a lot there. That 5% doesn't give them a lot. It gives them something. But I mean, they want users to be happy. They want the users to be happy. I mean, that's the reality is, you don't want people to be pissed off their gallery and looking at that type of stuff. So, I mean, I think that's where their EV is, or their value is just giving something people to keep enjoying. And then, there's a comment right here. I know you brought that up, but from Andre at 1232, why would you want to theory craft a lineup with close to 0 EV? It's just a headache. I think we're trying to say that maybe some people feel that way currently, because if you don't feel like you have 5 straight studs in fantastic lineups, you're like, what's the point of this? I'm throwing it away. My argument or thesis here is that, hey, having cap modes, having the ability to choose a different cap mode and go into there maybe gives you some expected value, or at least gives you the illusion of going into it thinking that your lineup is good because, hey, I've got, I think Tristan Blackman is going to smash and he's on a 40. And this allows me to get my other stud in here. I don't think somebody else might be able to do that.
Nanzo said cap modes don't take much time at all. Much time or thought at all. The cap does the thinking for you, which I feel like is something that's said by somebody who has all the cards that they need.
Right.
I don't know. There was one. Where was I? Oh yeah, that one from Mike before. We have to get out of the mindset of linking cap modes to threshold payments.
Exactly. There's a decoupling there. But am I wrong in thinking that I felt the reason that they got rid of capped outside of specials was because of that decoupling nature? Was hey, cap 240, or what was it? Yeah, it was 240.
Mm-hmm.
That was thought of as the threshold.
Yeah, I mean it was.
Right.
What do you mean? Yeah. So
that's what I'm saying.
Not why they got rid of it.
I mean, once they got rid of the threshold, it seemed like they kind of tossed cap modes to the side, because I feel, at least to me, it felt like you had to decouple it. That as long as you had cap 240, could somebody, if you still kept cap 240 there, they hit 255 points. Where the hell's my $5, or where's my money? Right.
Yeah. Mike said it gives much more an advantage to old users, which goes against their thought process in the last few years. I think it's already a gigantic advantage, but again, I don't think they care.
Yeah, but I mean, to your point, the old users already have the advantage in Classic too, because we have our studs have the highest XP, and now XP's that much harder to get too.
Behab said, if the problem you're trying to solve is to make Classic more fun, we can get more creative than cap modes to gamify it.
Talking. Give us some. That's what I'm here for. This is just one idea. This is not said to be the be all end all. This gave me fun. Laird's would be. I was going to go into like MFL, but you have to have the same level of hair per lineup. All the balds, full head of hairs.
Sure. Philly Dilly said decisions are in gallery building, not lineup building, which respectfully, I think is one of the worst takes I've ever heard. Like lineup building is a gigantic part of the game.
Yep.
It's just boring.
If I would not have played DaCosta, I would have.
Andre said cat mode in Classic won't work because the brain activation doesn't happen if the EV of the lineup is $1. It does if the lineup EV is currently $0.
How activated were you when you're making your 270s this weekend?
They were complete afterthoughts until I realized I could put Messi in, and then it was like,
and then you're like, oh, okay, yeah.
Trey said, I think the beauty of cat mode is the higher variance in lineups. I don't know. I think it's, and Jack said, so extra utility too for all our spare cards. I don't know. I don't know. Nanza said, I want to pit my best cards and my best thoughts on the best matchups, best form for a game week against yours. 5 straight studs wins every week is a proven myth.
Correct.
He's right about that.
Correct.
Philly Dilly said, cat modes when against stars will be stars. It's somewhat a separate issue than thresholds. That's not wrong either.
Yep.
And that's right. Bigger galleries always have an advantage. Like there's no cap modes are not changing that, obviously.
Yeah.
Did I say worst take I've ever heard?
I think you did.
Did I? All right. You're right.
Surely
there are worse takes. I just can't think of one right now. Except people eating mushrooms.
Although I would have loved to just be like, dude, I just like sauteed a whole thing of mushrooms so we could go actually.
No. SO11 coming?
I mean, those are options.
I think what the conversation opens up is that I think the user base is, I don't know if they're ready, but they may be forced to be ready, that classic competitions can be vastly different than in season.
Exactly. Like literally, I feel like there's a lot of people that already say these are 2 different games. And so if they are 2 different games, like let's open up the infrastructure to really doing that. I think that doing what's been the talk before, like SO7, SO8,
7, 9, 11. I mean,
11.
Just SO like, more.
Let's do it. Like, why not? But I think what I would maybe challenge too is specifically in the classic sense, these specials that show up for a week and then go away. Like it's cool, but you almost don't have enough attention on these specials because it's classic to really get like anybody's juices flowing about it. So, I think just having them there for a week and then gone, that doesn't really give you a good test. Like maybe if it's there for a little bit longer, like, okay, I get used to this. Oh, I kind of enjoy this. This is something. That's almost what I would want to see, is just a little bit more consistency behind it, because I can't keep track. Like I've enjoyed when what was it, like the ultra defensive, like I actually thought those were kind of fun and creative, like all these like different ways to attack it. But sometimes I don't even remember they're there, because when I'm thinking about my lineups, I'm not thinking about classic. I'm thinking about in season stuff.
Yeah,
and classics, and after that.
Philly Dilly said, do both of you consider super rare classic broken, or is this all about rare and limited?
They're all broken, in my opinion.
I think the thing that I keep coming back to is their classic lineups for me at this point are just complete afterthoughts.
Afterthoughts. Like, I'm literally thinking of my classic card. Like, I only strongly consider a couple classic cards in anything, and it's just being that fifth guy for end season, or my classic for end season. Like, that's what they're there for.
Mm-hmm.
Is for my end season comps, and then whatever. Like, I would never play Messi in classic if he's 100% to play.
Yeah.
Like, he's only a classic consideration because he might not play.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if I get relegated in classic. Whatever.
Right. Like, that's like, who cares?
It's whatever.
I mean, we don't.
I couldn't tell you what divisions I'm in classic. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. What do you think about tactics coming in?
Why not? But again,
They did say they were going to try that.
Don't make tactics show up for... I might be wrong on this, but don't make tactics show up for a week and then disappear for 2 months. That would be my thought. Like, make me get used to it. Make me realize the mistake that I made. That I was like, oh, that was really... Why the hell did I tiki-taka? Like, make me go, okay, I learned. Now let me institute that knowledge in the next game week, not make me wait forever.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know how I feel about all of the a different competition each game week. Like, I kind of get it. I think one of the reasons why they're largely ignored is the rewards tend not to be that great.
Right. But remember, it used to be the best.
Right. And so obviously they want like the best rewards to be in the regular competitions, champion, challenger, contender. Like, if like that's where people are going to go where the best prizes are. So that's probably why they don't do it, because they don't want my Douglas Santos and my Wendell cards to help me win the best prizes anymore. You just can't. I don't know. It doesn't feel like you can, despite them giving you a calendar every game or every month, you can look at that, but like, I don't see very few people having the incentive to go out and plan for those competitions.
Right.
But a cat load at least allows you week to week to figure out what you're doing. It's almost like the consistent inconsistency is what stops me from even paying attention. That it's like, oh, time to do my lineup. I didn't even know there was a cap 270 this week until Harry said something about it.
Right.
And all he said about it to me was when you went on to Sorare, you couldn't tell, because they did an in-season and a classic one. You couldn't tell how many people entered each one. They just gave you like the total. And I was like, oh, there's cap 270. That's cool.
Yeah. So I want to make a comment for Philly Dilly. Better quality comment there, Philly Dilly. 1242. Shouldn't the saving classic combo someone who cares about classic? So as somebody before the season that spent $10,000 on classic cards, I really wanted to care about classic and to have utility for classic. And the whole point of this little just exercise, and a big part of this when we were talking was just to hear the community, like what they would say. Because I think over and over again, I have seen one consistent thing to fix classic: cash. And this is not happening. This is not happening. So is there a way that we can more people would be engaged? Like, oh, that would work. Like SO11. I thought about that, but like that, I would be hyped for an SO11 competition. I think that would be fun. I really do. I probably pushed against that in the past, and I think that we're at the time, like something like that will definitely work. But to your point, like we've got to like incentivize it with some good cards and those type of things. I mean, we know they have the allocation to be able to do that. We know in end season, they aren't giving out cards anyways. So like, why not try to make this work? Like, not to like bring back the underdog conversation from 2-3 years ago, but you know, when I focused on that, when that was a new competition and nobody really cared, and that was people's afterthoughts, what was the reason? Because I looked in the past like 7 weeks, and at that time, this is what, 2022, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and I go, they've run like 6 underdogs, and Martin Vandervoort was a reward, Erling Haaland, Kylian Mbappe, somebody else really good. I was like, oh shit. these are like the best possible cards that you can win are in this competition.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I got like my first time I won it, I felt like I got a worse card, and it was Mike Mignon. Not that bad.
Yeah. 4 ETH?
4 ETH at that time.
Yeah, it's a nice amount of money. Yeah, I think ultimately, like, cap modes are the easy answer to they should do something different. But
right.
I think the platform is in a position now where a big break between in season and classic would be completely understood and probably accepted by a lot of people.
Like, can you imagine anybody going to Twitter being like, what the F is this? The only thing people go to Twitter about classic right now is just to complain. So what would be the change anyway?
I almost feel like I don't even see that many complaints about classic anymore because people are so indifferent to them.
Just that one little thread. What was that, like a week ago? Why did I spend all this time focusing on classic? He's focused on classic.
So, and actually back to Philly Dilly's comment about that, like, shouldn't the saving classic convo be for someone who cares about classic? If they cared, that they wouldn't think it needed saving.
Right. They're just good luck finding.
Yeah.
I mentioned, if there's anybody that says it's good.
I don't know if I mentioned it on a stream or not, but I'm genuinely, I don't actually want to watch it because I already know the outcome, but the fact that like nobody has tried like a classic Road to Glory, you're like, oh, let's see how much I can win playing classic, because it's so hard at this point.
Right.
Everyone has the best cards and you're just competing against the best ones every week.
I'm going to take a Toronto FC centered stack to D1 and win Messi. What is happening?
Simon said selecting a squad of, say, 20 cards for a month-long SO11 would be fun, even locking them out of other SO5 comps during that period. So rare squads. I love that idea. Yeah. I hate month-long competitions, but I love that idea.
I mean, remember when I first came on the platform, what was the one that they rewarded a unique on? It was like for Juliper. Oh, God. It was like through a third party, but you had to lock in a squad.
Oh. Yeah, it was a free-to-play game. Techers won it.
Techers won it. I can't remember what it was called. But that was interesting, like seeing some people with their processes going, okay, we got this 4-week period. I'm not allowed to swap anybody out. You know, I think you were out of like 3 of each position or something like that. It was like 3 goalies.
I don't think I even played.
But it was interesting. Interesting. Like I feel like you had those type of interesting variations of gameplay ideas.
This was it. Yeah, one shot.
One shot. Thank you.
Yeah, I just think now, granted, we could be getting an update about like what's going to change in the summer any day now, I would assume. Maybe. I don't know. But just more creativity and a separation of classic and in season, I think, is needed. BR4 said he used to run the 270 monthly comps. Those were a disaster in terms of reward distribution. Like, the way that I know that those things were a disaster is that PSU fans too absolutely adored them, because you got reward every single game week and you got them at the end, and he just ran riot on them. And it was the leaderboard was all whales, and all of a sudden they had this idea of distributing rewards, and it was like, no, we're actually just putting more rewards into the hands of the biggest galleries.
Yeah. But that was like, whoever came up with that idea and thought that it was redistribution, like, I want whatever they took to think of that idea, because they were in a hell of a fun space.
Yeah. There's nothing that benefits bigger galleries more than month-long competitions.
Correct. Well, but again,
sorry to cut you off there, but
no, you're fine.
But this idea of locking them out of other comps is interesting to me.
But this is I guess where I'm at the point with Classic. I don't think that many people would be that upset about it. Like, oh, you can't use these cards are for this competition. I think people will go, okay, sure, let's give it a go.
Yeah,
I think at least me, I'm just speaking for myself, but speaking to you and a number of other people, I think we're all just completely game to just throw something at us. Like, we all see Classic going the wrong direction right now. Like, it's becoming training. Like, somebody made that comment earlier. You can't get worse than that. So why not try to innovate? If it's a disaster, it's a disaster. It was already, what you're doing right now is setting yourself up for disaster anyways. So try something.
What's funny is that I don't think you are looking at this from the value standpoint. Like, none of this conversation has been about the value of classic cards, because people who have been on the platform a long time still focus on the value of their classic cards. And we're not talking about that at all. It's really from a game perspective of what's going to be more entertaining for me to play with my classic cards. Right. That's all we want.
And wouldn't you say too, like, you don't want to do it or it's not worth your time, don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah. Yeah. We just want to be entertained, man.
I think that's where and guess what? Somebody was making a joke about MFL or Footium. I can't say that word or spell it, by the way. What is it?
Footium.
They need something catchy like MFL. It is so much easier. Like, I think I have. You remember what was it? Remember how I said Real Betis 27 times? If I was on a Footium thread with you, I would say it 20 something.
You nailed it though. No, you got it now. You
just said it. Give me 5 minutes and I'll forget.
Oh yeah. I think, and this part of the season, I think, is not like a great time for Sorare for those who like focus on the European competitions, because it's the end of the season. This is just what happens.
Yep.
But I'm trying to think if we would be more willing to play in season, or not even just us, but if Sorare users would be more willing to play in season, knowing that when those cards became classic, there was like a totally different game that waited for them. Right. And if that game was super engaging and fun, great, because it's essentially like a dual platform for Sorare of, hey, spend your year trying to win as much cash as possible. And then when those cards are no longer eligible to win cash, we have this other really cool game where you can make 11 line, SO11 or whatever it is. Yeah. So Nanzo said, as much as you hate it, a little cash rewards go a long way in Classic. It also incentivizes people to pay more for in-season cards if there's a longer tail.
I don't hate it, by the way.
Yeah, like Keith would happily take cash at in-season competitions. I think Sorare have made it very clear they have no incentive.
They're just not going to. I'm just more coming from their perspective, and I feel like at this point they've already tailed off the cash enough. They're not going to go to Nicola and be like, let's just go put more cash right back into the thing that we started killing. I just don't.
Yeah,
I don't see it.
I mean, that's the way I see it, and I don't think people are buying. Like, I don't think the value of in-season cards goes up if people are like, oh, but I could also still win this little bit of cash next year in Classic, where my cards are not nearly as good as everybody else's who are already in Classic.
Yeah. But again, I think that most people that are in Classic and have done well in Classic, they want cash and that makes complete sense. I just don't see how that ever becomes a table. That's like one of those you go into, no matter how many croissants you bring in, that's like on the boss's door. Do not mention cash in Classic or something.
Nanzo said, I can tell you I'd pay more at the unique and super rare end. Will the 17
I'm not gonna tell those
will do it? Yeah, like, I don't know.
Maybe,
in fact, I'll almost go as far as to say that if they added a little cash to Classic, people would be like, they would be upset at how little it was.
It probably would like backfire on them, right?
Right.
Like, all you had is $1,000 for unique.
Right.
Come on, you can do it. It's a good point.
Like the whatever the amount
is. One of those
is,
no-win situations. That's one of those no-win situations. Or like rare. Or actually, let's do limited. Limited. It's $100 first.
I don't even think they would give that much. That's
Right.
like you wouldn't give more money. Let me look at what the hold on. Like MLS Division 2 is $75 for third.
Okay.
It's $300 to first.
Okay.
Like, you're going to give that amount of money to classic comps? And so when first place wins $30, does it make that much of a difference?
It honestly probably feels like more of a slap in the face, doesn't it? Because then you know what they do? They take away the card.
Oh, yeah, probably. Mike said they found 10K laying around for the hastily created Conference League comp. But now you're asking for, like, realistically, when you think of how much money a little bit in Classic is, you're talking about every limited division, every rare division, every super rare or super rare and unique in champ, class, challenger, contender, La Liga, Bundesliga, the hell's the other one? Prem, MLS, 10 grand split amongst all of that, which is a lot of money if you're going to do it for an entire season, is negligible for those who are actually winning it.
Right. Right. And again, I know nothing about this Conference League Cup comp they says, but I'm assuming that's 1 week.
It was, yes.
So, you screw up something and you have to give 10K. It's kind of like there's your slap on the wrist. Like there's your fine, there's your penalty. Versus like you state that you're going to bring cash back to Classic. Not only do you have to commit to it for like a certain amount of time before you realize it's going you. And then when you go to repeal it, they're like, oh, they repealed it again.
I just feel like they've made it very clear that they are willing to pay cash for in-season competitions because that's where they make cash. And I don't like that doesn't exist in Classic. They make no money from Classic competition, from Classic cards being bought and sold.
Right.
Keeping cash is a slap in the face. Getting rid of it completely is not. Oh, I'm sure it is. But we're not.
Yeah. I think it's more, Nanzo, that we all see what's coming at this point. Like, I think they've projected their pathway to Classic right now. So, like, when they remove it, like, when it got removed from MLS, like, I know Sean was DMing me right away. I'm like, knowing how much I spent, like, was going into it, was like, you got screwed. Different words. But I'm like, I kind of knew my risk going into this. Like, there was already a built-in risk of what I was doing.
Yeah.
And that was in the conversation that could occur. And I was like, all right, I think I can still yield out of it. I thought wrong. But again, at that point, I was paying like $100 for Hanny Mukhtar super rare. Did you see, by the way? Is this how unfun MLS is for people? Did you see what Hanny did this weekend? Did you see his AA? Do you want to guess? He did miss a PK, but
I'm going to still guess because it's Hanny that it was somewhere negative. But
it was negative.
Oh, it was.
It was very negative. It was.
I guess because he missed the peak. Yeah. I don't know.
It was like 19.7.
Wow.
Or minus 20. Like, that's hard to do on set pieces.
For real. Just to clarify something here, BR4 said, don't they make that tiny fee on the secondary market, or is that straight transaction cost? I think it's believed that those just go right back to the clubs.
At 5%.
Nanzo said you're talking it into being accepted. We've already, like MLS, it's already there.
It's gone. I mean, I guess that's where we're saying. I promise, Nanzo, I have no talks with Sorare. Like, there's no anything in either one of us. It's just, I think we're just trying to be realists here of like what we see.
I think the other thing is that the percentage of the user base that actually wins cash from podiums is so absurdly small that now we're back to the what was the word we used before? Like, people see that and think that it's something that they can win, but it's
just there.
Imaginary is not it. But like Nanzo's probably won a ton of podiums, and that's why removing podiums is a big deal for him.
Well, that
Like-
was Sean. That was Sean too. Like
Right.
somebody, I don't talk to Nanzo a lot other than like on the stream here, but like Sean, like that was a big deal because he equates that as somebody like me that hasn't won that many podiums. Whatever.
Yeah. Do you think if they took another 5% from secondary card sales to be classic cash prize pools, A, would people be happy, and B, would it be enough?
No, I don't think people would be happy because you're taking that extra 5% away from sales of like in-season cards too.
I was going to say,
he's saying make it 10%. He's saying make the fee 10%, and that 5% gets distributed in cash.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I think so. The reason why I don't think this works is because users feel that extra 5% way more than they feel the winning cash in classic comps.
Yeah.
The 5% I pay goes into Nanzo's wallet.
Right.
That's how I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Simon said, give me more fun, non-cash rewards, relegation, safety net to use in season, hot streak pass token, maybe. Yeah.
But these are all the fun ideas I think they completely should explore in Classic.
Ryan said, I don't think that's enough cash anyway. Yeah.
So can I ask, since we're winding down, can I ask an incredibly important personal non-Sorare question? I want your take and I want some chat group.
Wow.
So I know important stuff, right? So
yes, you should put the lunchbox in their backpack before.
I mean, I don't want this stream to end because I got to go out this door and deal with this. Real life is waiting for me outside this door. That was not the question. So Wednesday is birthday number 38. I am normally that guy that does not care about my birthday at all, but told the wife that I just want to go for a really nice dinner, ideally like a steakhouse. And we thought of it too late. We have like one of the better steakhouses in the country in Tampa. It's called Burn Steakhouse. It's been around since like the 20s or something like that. Phone notification first thing when I woke up this morning. Table for two was open. Clicked it. Got it. What kind of steak are you doing, Laird? Or what cut of steak? Yes.
Oh.
Give me your favorite cut of steak. You're going to a nice restaurant. What are you ordering?
So there was a time in my life where my dad and my two brothers and I would go to different steakhouses in New York.
Okay.
And we pretty much would always just get like the porterhouse for $6. Even though there were 4 of us.
Like the massive.
Yeah. And
like a tomahawk or something.
Not quite that dramatic, but
okay.
I have had a tomahawk before too.
Okay.
So that's like the first one that comes in mind. Although I see people talking about bone-in ribeye, which is a really damn good choice too. But it's probably one of those, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what? It's definitely not
filet.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like. So that's what I wanted to make sure the answer was, because there's a lot of people in like my family and stuff like that, like sort of the filet. I'm like, it's so boring.
It's. I mean, a good filet mignon is great, but like it's not on the list for me.
Yeah. I was thinking porterhouse. So
yeah,
because then you get the 2 different types.
Yes.
Within one, so you get the really really soft and tender, and then you get a little bit more of the fatty side. Like, yes, all right, we're on the same page.
I agree with ZM Star here, except for one of the actual examples, but it is all about the sides. Like cream spinach, the mushrooms on the heart. I don't even know why that's even there.
Are you a French onion soup guy?
Not really.
Not like all of a sudden that just like does it for you.
No, yeah, no. I have to like really be in the mood for it, and if I don't get it, I'm just like, yeah, well.
So while we're on this topic, there's one other weird quirk I have going. I told you and Harry, I got like the weirdest change in like taste buds over the last like 6 months or so, where I'm like loving peppers.
Yes,
a ton. Favorite cocktails going on right now is like has like jalapeno and like spicy. Not weird.
No, I've been a spicy margarita fan for years.
But like get some like massive kick to it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
not like tequila is probably like the liquor that I drink more now than anything else.
Okay.
And like a spicy margarita and I don't usually like salted, like I usually don't get salt on my margarita glass, but some places will do like a spicy rim. I don't know.
Right,
what the
like a
hell's it?
spicy, like right with like maybe like the jalapeno juice, or
Yeah,
whatever.
something.
on
Yeah.
the side.
And
Yeah.
that hits pretty, that hits. Yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
Pretty, but and by the way, Mike, I saw it. Screw off, man.
What did Mike
38. Feeling it. He said, no, I'm under 40.
say? Oh,
38. 38. Forgetting lunches already, too. Terrible Sorare takes about cat mode saving classic. Like, we're all here for it.
we're all here for it. Yeah. Speaking of everyone here for it, thank you very much for coming. If you could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny. For those of you who enjoyed this conversation or those who didn't, which seems to be really Nanzo. If you like this kind of content, feel free to support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Andrew M. Laird. There's plenty more content coming for those of you who are in there. So yeah, get on in. I still have 2 collections to give away. I forgot what they are now. Sparta, Rotterdam, and Ghent. That's right.
Hold on, can I toss one thing out of somebody's Sorare? If anybody, this is just for today, it's just came in my head. There's any Leicester supporters in here that would like a mostly complete Leicester limited collection with jersey mints, DM me. It's ready to go, but you got to DM me that you want the Leicester collection. Probably give me some sort of proof that you're a Leicester fan. We'll make it happen.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Yes, I'll be back later today, Philly Dilly, for my Footium conversation. If Bachman SUFC can convince me to play Footium, that's at 7 p.m. Eastern time today. So I'm guessing a lot of people who are watching this live, we'll see it tomorrow.
Laird.
Yeah, nighttime Laird. Not Laird after dark, but just Laird on Footium. But anyway, thank you everybody for coming, and don't forget to go outside.